Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Well, what do we have around the globe? The first video was mostly related to Ukraine. Second one, we're going to go around the world and see the most important topics according to my policy. So the first article, Russia to provide security assistance to African countries. Putin. What does that mean? Russia is so isolated and Russia is losing in Ukraine. These guys made a big mistake doing what they did in Ukraine. Russia, little by little, was forced, in my assessment, to take its gloves off. And they let these baboons here know that they will do it. And that is, if you think that we cannot harm you globally, you're either baboons or some in control of you are benefiting greatly. And I think that's exactly what happens. The guys in control were, sorry, something like happened. Someone has to take care of me. Poisoned. So some made a great assessment they will make a profit at the expense of us and the Russians. And the Russians said, we're going to show you that we are not a power that you can just play with, like Libya or Syria or Iraq or even, how do you call that, Yugoslavia in 1999 or Afghanistan. And that's the case. Russia took its gloves off and now we have a bipolar world order. Two poles, and probably going to be three of them because they will be the unaligned for a time on this global. That means countries that will not be wanted or deemed necessary for either side. That they're probably not going to have resources, not going to have a military importance, therefore, so strategic importance, therefore they will just left to be rotting. That's what I think. So again, Russia to provide security assistance. What does it mean, security assistance? Let's read. The Russian president has emphasized that the support will align with international law. African nations are increasingly seeking security assistance from Russia. Assistance security against whom? Against the free world, right? We, us. Speaking to the press at the Valdai International Discussion Club in Sochi on Thursday, the president noted that Russia is willing to respond to these requests within the framework of international law. They talk about international law, but in the Middle East, there's happening something that international law doesn't exist on one side. And I'm quoting, it's very difficult to work in the economic sphere if conditions for ensuring security are not established. That means build a military, we're going to provide you that, and then you're going to grow economically. Putin said, highlighting the security challenges in regions such as the Sahara-Sahel, where terrorist groups continue to operate, sponsored by and several countries face political instability. Putin emphasized Russia's commitment to supporting African nations, referencing a long-standing history of mutual trust between Russia and the continent, or Soviet Union and the continent. We have virtually no controversies with any African country, and the level of trust and mutual sympathy is very high. In the history of our relations with the African continent, there has never been any shadow, never. We have never exploited African people, nor been engaged in anything inhumane on African continent. I know some were, but not the Russians, right? So, my friends, what do you think will happen? So they will bring them bread and weapons. That's what's gonna be. And then who's losing? These baboons here, because they're gonna, the Russians, the BRICS countries will provide through their bank loans, and the IMF and the World Bank and the big banking system is going to lose customers. So what are they gonna do? Like they always did, they will activate nations' military to fight for our interest, and actually they fight, our military fights for their interest. That's how it is. So we're gonna have some big garbage in Africa. Wait for it. Next one. Canada was poked by the imbecile Trudeau from Canada, and now Canada is gonna unfortunately be called out as an hypocritical establishment over there. Not the Canadian people, but we should not forget that some Canadian people voted for the baboon thought that the baboon over there is acceptable. Therefore, those who voted for Trudeau, let's move on. Russia Today. India calls out Canada's hypocrisy towards freedom of speech. And who says that? None other than Dr. Jay Shankar, who I like very much. New Delhi has slammed Ottawa for allegedly blocking a news outlet that published remarks by the Indian foreign minister. India on Thursday claimed that Canada had blocked an Australian media outlet after it published remarks by Indian External Affairs Minister S. Jai Shankar during an official visit to Australia. The minister spoke on the ongoing diplomatic row between New Delhi and Ottawa after the targeting of Sikh separatists in Canada. Foreign Ministry spokesperson Randhir Jaiswal, we can identify his or her sex. Jesus Christ. And this is Russia Today. Boo. Speaking to reporters in New Delhi, alleged that the social media handles and web pages of Australia Today, which he called an important diaspora outlet, were blocked from viewers in Canada just hours after it reported on a press conference involving Jai Shankar and his Australian counterpart Penny Wong. Australian Penny Wong. The outlet published several articles on Jai Shankar's visit to Canberra, as well as an interview with him, he added, and I'm quoting, "So, we were surprised, don't be. You just learn. It looks strange to us. Again, you don't know the reality then. But nonetheless, what I would say is that these actions highlight Canada's hypocrisy towards freedom of speech," Jaiswal said. So not Jai Shankar, Jaiswal said. So here you have nothing about that, huh? And this is the Canada. Canada is, in my assessment, going deeper and deeper into a totalitarian, tyrannical organization. I'm talking about the guys in charge. And the same thing is happening in the United States of America, where the media with their owners are just shaping the reality, even though the Canadians themselves can see the discrepancy between what they're told they are and they're doing in their name to what actually it is. All right, let's move to the next article. Bad news for the Americans, if true. But hey, they don't care. Some businesses will make a lot of money. Houthis blast another US drone out of the sky and fire hypersonic missile at Israel. Well, from the get-go, I doubt very, very much that the Houthis have hypersonic missile. I doubt it like 100%. That's how much I doubt that. Why? You're telling me the Houthis have a hypersonic missile, but the Americans don't have it? And the Americans have it, but not operational. But the Houthis, they have it? No offense, but we're talking about the United States of America, and we're talking about, Yemen, Houthis, something like this. I mean, you understand. I don't think they have a hypersonic missile, unless the Russians launched it, or the Chinese, but not the Houthis. And then they say they fired it at Israel. Another drone, this is according to the news. I'm not saying that it's true or not. The Yemeni militia began a campaign of drone and missile attacks against Israel in October 2023 in solidarity with Gaza. See, something like this you don't probably hear in the free world in the West, including Canada. Gradually escalating their operations to include a partial blockade of the Red and Arabian Seas and striking using increasingly sophisticated weapons. I don't believe that. Houthi fighters have reportedly shot down another MQ-9 Reaper drone. This one over the Al-Jaf province in Yemen's north, with footage posted to social media early Friday morning showing flaming wreckage falling out of the sky and starting a large fire on the ground in the dead of the night as onlookers inspect the unmanned aerial vehicles remain. The U.S. military acknowledged to the Associated Press that it has seen the footage and said it was investigating the incident without offering any further details. I'm not going to play the videos, obviously, and says the military has a surprising large array of air defense systems at their disposal, including upgrades of Soviet-era Kub, Dvina, Neva, Pechora, and Strela 1 SAMs, and allegedly derivatives of Iranian designed systems. Well, separately, Friday, a source told Sputnik, a source, that the Houthis had launched, according to a hypersonic ballistic missile from Yemen at a vital target in the Negev desert in southern Israel. I doubt that greatly, I have to tell you that, because I don't think they have it. I don't think they have it. They said that little base host fleet of F-35s and others, but the Houthis unveiled what they say was a two-stage solid-fuel hypersonic missile with a range of 2,150 kilometers known as Palestine 2 in September, saying that the weapon can reach speeds up to Mach 16 and features stealth technology. Multiple Houthi missiles and drones have pierced Israel's powerful air defense. I don't think so. I'm sorry. I doubt it. You need satellites. You need many other things. You need... That's me. I have the right to refuse to accept reality. I live in denial, put it this way. All right, now, do you think Erdogan, the president of Turkiye, he is delusional? I don't think he is delusional whatsoever. But then why in the hell he would make this statement, if he made this statement? According to Sputnik, Turkey expects Trump to stop supplying weapons to Israel. Erdogan. Are you crazy? In what kind of world do you think you're living? I tell you this. Donald Trump, if he gets to be the president of the United States of America, the 47th president, I give you 99.9% with certainty Trump will not stop supplying Israel with anything. That's my prediction. Why? Just look around, listen to what he said about them. All right? And you're going to realize. So I don't know in what hell of the world Erdogan lives. That's not going to happen. You know when the threat might come up after Israel cleans everything over there. Cleans. You know what I mean? So when that's going to be end and Israel is going to be like zipping up its pants after it did what it did, then it's going to say what, Trump? Yeah, stop that. We're threatening you with supply of weapons. And Israel is going to say, okay, all right, stop, man. Okay, because we listen to the Americans. I think it's the other fucking way around. But nevertheless, I thought it was a baboonish statement coming from Erdogan, who's smart, who's cunning. I don't know if cunning means the same thing as being smart, but nevertheless, we'll find out. All right, we'll see here that the Americans are challenging and are escalating a nuclear war in Europe, in your neck of the woods, or how do you call it, part of your neighborhood. Sputnik, US strategic bombers arrive in UK as part of European deployment. So what do you think that means? Why do you think the strategic bombers arrive there? Just to fly around, to do some training? No, to be active in bombarding someone with what? Nuclear strategic bombers can have nuclear weapons on it. And who's going to be blamed for that? Putin. What did the Russians say about that? He said, if you're going to deploy that, we will reserve the right to do the same. I don't know, maybe Nicaragua, I say, Cuba, I say, Venezuela, I say. But then the media, your media, my media, the free media, will say, the Russians escalate. They deploy, that can't happen. But I will remind you that these guys have what? 7 sites. 7 sites in Europe. I think in 5 countries, in 5 countries where we have nuclear weapons. When Russia deployed nuclear weapons in Belarus, you can do that. Where 1 deployment, you have 7 in Europe. So it's 7-1. So zip it. Now these guys bring the bombers. This guy said, okay, we're going to do that to you too. Oh, you can't. Why? Because we are just. Remember, rules-based world order? I do whatever I want. You do whatever I say. Well, if you think that's just, then I hope something like this happens to you in real life. And then I guarantee you, you won't like it. And you're immediately going to be like, okay. Anyway, some people need something to wake up, and realize certain policies and certain actions are wrong. Some people can, use the frontal lobe and think abstractly and focus and think ahead, realizing, oh, this is going to be the consequence, possibly this, and go from there. Nevertheless, but we all vote. Next one, I'm going to show you the international law right now, and I'm going to try to Contrast that with other countries if they would do such a thing to France. So Associated Press, France condemns, that's all you can do, a spat between Israeli police and French consulate staff at the Jerusalem church. How do you like this guy? He looks very, very much that he would you up. And this is an Israeli police guy, I'm guessing. Or this is what? The French minister right there left speaks to journalists. He looks like one. Sorry, it was my thing. So what happened? It was a misunderstanding. It was a misunderstanding. Because every time these guys do something, it's a misunderstanding or it was your fault. We never make mistakes. We just a misunderstanding. So there were some guys entering these premises of this church armed, and they arrested two embassy consulate employees, say because they failed to identify themselves. So they entered over there. Why? Judaism and Christianity. That's why when you say we are Judeo-Christian, what are you talking about? These guys and these guys? Nah, maybe these guys are the baboons, but these guys definitely are not. So they entered over there and they arrested these guys and then they set them free. Why? Because one guy was supposed to speak over there, and the problem is, what's going to happen? Nothing. I'm going to just read to you a little bit of this article so I can exemplify what happened here, or clearly explain here. Armed Israeli police forced their way into a French-owned church compound in the contested city of Jerusalem on Thursday, the French Foreign Ministry said, briefly detaining two consulate employees and prompting the top French diplomat to abandon his planned visit to the site. What do you think, let's say, if Iran would have done this, or other countries? Do you think it's just like protest or denounce? Jesus Christ, sanctions, bombardments, let's do it, right? The unusual incident, no, it's usual for them, unusual for you baboons, because you live in a different world, threatened to further strain relations between Israel and France. That would not happen. France is owned as well as US. Weeks after French President Emmanuel Macron called for an arms, he could just call, but nothing happened. On Israel, prompted backlash from right-wing Israel Prime Minister, his right wing. Oh my God. The strongly worded statement from France, words, said Israeli security forces had intruded on the courtyard of the Church of the Paternoster, angering French Foreign Minister Jean-Noël Barrot and prompting him to abandon his scheduled visit there. Oh my God. The guys, the Israelis are so fucked by that. The ministry said Israeli police detained two staff members of the French consulate in Jerusalem despite their diplomatic status. They don't care. Adding that the employees were released only after Barrot intervened. And after those guys make sure they asked the two employees all the necessary questions. And I'm quoting, this attack on the integrity of a domain placed under the responsibility of France is likely to weaken the bonds I have. The bonds. You should not have any fucking bonds. You should be treating like any other country, but hey, you can't. You remember you gave them some nuclear things in 1960s? All right. In fact, come to cultivate with Israel at a time when we all need to make progress in the region on the road to peace. No. Ha! What are you talking about? These guys, they have their own plan and that doesn't coincide with your baboonish progress to peace, Barrot told. Barrot was meeting with this and these actions are unacceptable, the French Foreign Minister's statement said. So what? They take a shit on you. The 10 million people took a shit on what? France, 65 million people. Good job. Said of Thursday, fracas between Israeli security forces and French diplomatic staffers. French condemns these actions all the more vigorously as they come at the time. Oh my God. Israeli police portrayed the controversy as a misunderstanding, saying that the two church workers who declined to identify themselves had refused entry to Israeli security guards accompanying Mr. Barrot on his current. See? So there you have it. Misunderstanding. If this misunderstanding would have done by the, Albania would have been already sanctioned. And we're going to find out with these last two articles that I'm going to show you how media covers the truth. Covers like hides it. Remember George Soros. George Soros, he's Jewish. He was born in Hungary. He is almost never referred as Jewish. He's referred as Hungarian-born, philanthropist, whatever, hedge funds and all that thing, NGO, and a good person there is. And I don't know why they avoid usually using the, But they do the same thing with this guy, the same thing. And it's not concerning for me, it's just, I know how things work. But I just want to show you, remember when they say, first time we have a black woman as a senator in California or something, it's always the first time. Or he identifies the first gay person or the first blah 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 person and so on. They're very much willing to do that. Or the first this. But in this case, zip it. Don't wake up the baboons. They are busy eating each other's fleas. So, all right. Kyiv-born. You see, it's just a Kyiv-born. This is coming from New Voice of Ukraine. Kyiv-born Eugene Vindman, elected to the U.S. Congress. Another one, but you don't know it. You don't know it. And this, just Ukrainian-born. So his victory keeps the district in democratic hands. All right. He will replace this guy. The 49-year-old Kyiv-born Vindman, that's all they tell you. No, Hungarian-born philanthropist, a retired U.S. Army lieutenant colonel and lawyer, is the twin brother of Alexander Vindman. The brothers, born in 1975, lost their mother at the age of 3 and were brought to the United States by their father. They just brought because you could in those times just be brought. No, it was an understanding between the diaspora, a certain kind of organization, we can name it, and the Soviet Union. The same thing was with the Romanians. Romania at that time. They were allowed and they were paying money to the Romanian government to allow this group to go to settle in United States of America because United States of America was receiving them. So that's how they got. Go and check it out in the Soviet Union. When you hear, oh, they immigrated from Soviet Union to United States of America in the 70s and 80s, then you know exactly that person is most likely being a Vindman or a Soros or a Zelensky Stein. All right, settling nowhere else but in Brooklyn. Okay, Vindman, relatives there? Vindman has served as a deputy legal, so both Eugene gained prominence. So in this one, you will not hear anything of what I told you. All right, next one. Ukrainian-born Democrat who testified against Trump is elected to U.S. Congress. Another Ukrainska Pravda. This Ukrainian right here for you. All right, we're going to go here again. He and his brother Alexander testified. Okay, this is the same. The New York Times noted victory keeps pop the same thing. Vindman really plays, focused, it is establishment. All right, Kyiv-born, there you go. And the same thing. And I guarantee you will not find that in the free media in the West either. Why do they hide it? Not hide it. Why do they ignore it? They should celebrate it. A minority that was the most. No, we don't want you. What's going on here? Oh, this garbage started. All right, let's close it. Scared. It was a commercial. So the biggest victim, the perpetual victim, now has a little bit of success. Good. Doesn't your heart melt for that? It should be celebrated. Like, Barack Obama, the first African-American, elected, not biracial, no, African-American elected. It was a celebration. Everybody was happy. It was mentioned each and every time. We broke the glass ceiling. We still have a systemic system here that, systemic, but nevertheless. But here, zip it. Why is that? How do you think this guy will be voting on the issues related to Russia? The same thing. You get a lot of Ukrainians in the Western Europe. They will have children, and children will have children at one point when they grow up, obviously. And those guys will climb, obviously, in the positions of power in Germany, in France, in Great Britain. And then they will do the same thing as, what's her name? Miss Freeman, what's her name? In Canada, and many others like Victoria Nuland. All these guys have relatives in the past who came from Ukraine, from Russia, and they hate the Russians. Why? Because they're not in charge anymore. They were in charge between 1918 and about 1965. And then they were again in charge in 1991 with Yeltsin until 1999 when Putin came and cleaned house until 2006 or 7, and then everything was oy vey, we got to do something about it. Everything I said is a fact. You don't like the facts? What can I do? But maybe I don't dislike when someone points out a fact that will affect my conclusion of a topic, or I reach a conclusion, someone said, well, you ignore this fact, how about this fact? I verify the fact, and if that's a fact, I thank that person. Thank you very much, because now I can reshape my conclusion based on a new evidence of new truth, something that's a truthful thing. So that's a good thing. These guys, they criticize you with facts and evidence. They are your teachers, they are your helpers. They're not your enemies. I know we don't like to be contradicted, but that actually is an act of help. They don't intend to help you. You should look at it as help. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.